morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Congratulations. It's a big deal to reach 1,000 episodes. What are some of your favorite memories so far? Starting on this side, what are some of your favorite memories you've had so far?
We've had a lot of great memories over now 5 seasons, and so it's very hard to pick just one. Like, there's no such thing as your favorite child,
right.
I suppose. So I guess there's no one favorite moment, but I think surprising the co-host with my newborn baby was up there. That's going way back to early days on the show.
I even talk about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who are you?
It was a surprise.
It was a surprise.
You kept it from us, and I'm a gossip.
I know. Surprise! I have a baby. So that was one of my favorite ones.
As Mel said, it's so hard to sort of pick, because we've done 1,000 shows, and you don't want to be like, this guest was awesome and the other guest was awesome.
That's true.
But I've decided that when I think back on this show, wherever we are in 30, 40 years, the one thing that I think that I'll take away as the standout memory is not actually what happens in front of the camera. It's a moment that we all share before the show. We've never shared it. We will not. It's just for us. But there's something that we do together before every single show. And I think that if I forget everything else, in 30 or 40 years, I'll always remember what we do and what the feeling is in that time.
That's awesome.
That is such a special moment, and I love everything you said about that, but I will just put it out there, the Jacksons. I will just put it out there. Dancing with the Jacksons, and I'm not sure if you could call what I was doing dancing. But it was so much fun, and being able to talk about that kind of legacy and being in the room with legends. Yeah. It was so special. It was so much for me growing up and with that family. I felt that I was akin to Janet Jackson. I was a sister too, and just to have them in our house and to be able to chat and walk down memory lane, that was a moment. That was a moment. That was a huge moment.
I mean, it's true. We've had so many incredible guests, and the Jacksons are just a few of them. But everyone from like Lena Dunham to Emma Thompson, Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman. I mean, there's just been some incredible celebrities, but also really, a lot of the people who I think have impacted us the most are people who have smaller stories or maybe are less well known, who've shared stories about everything from, their struggles with illness or the way that they persevered through life, and there are many challenges. And I think, though, to Lainey's point, some of the things that I'll remember the most are our opening hot topics and the debates that we've had together. And the fact that I think that each one of us have learned so much about ourselves through each other. And then by extension, also we've learned a lot about our audience. And when they reflect back to us the meaning that the show has had for them, that is incredibly powerful and meaningful. So, I mean, this 1,000 episode milestone is just so multi-layered, I think, for us. Very emotional. There's going to be tears tomorrow. Lots of tears.
Do you have, as a group or individually, things that you've wanted to do that haven't quite worked out yet that you'd still like to obviously tackle in some way? I'm sure there must be lots of things.
It's not about tackling. Hillary Clinton. Why haven't you picked up the phone? You had a book come out. I mean, you were in our city.
Canada wants to see you, obviously.
At least this girl does. I don't know about anybody else. So that was one that got away.
She got away. She would have faced some tough questions. But it would have been a great show.
And a major fan.
And
that's why she's supporting us.
It's Mel Grelo that keeps trying to get in touch. Right?
What about, are there format changes that you start looking at after you've reached a certain milestone? Or what do you do to keep the show, I guess, fresh and unique?
What are those? I think it's one of those things where maybe when we started the show, it's like, okay, we didn't know what we were walking into. We sort of had an outline, a framework of what the show would be, and it's taken on a life of its own, I think. And the fact is that every day you're seeing these conversations unfold online, and people are engaged, they're energized, and so I don't think there's any shortage of topics that will invigorate and will fire up our audiences and fire us up. And as long as we're interested and curious and concerned and activated, our audience will be by extension. I think we do hope, though, for the lifestyle segments, we constantly like to try new things. Like recently, Mel and Lainey decided to go and do a dance challenge.
Lainey did not decide.
Right, let's clarify. Lainey, against her will, was voluntold to take part in a dance-off that Melissa concocted in her little brain.
Yes.
And strong-armed her into
TV.
agreeing to do.
Great TV.
And I knew if we could pull it off, it was going to be great TV because we are innately very competitive. And if you throw the name Jennifer Lopez and Beyonce into the same sentence, and you add dancing and choreography, it's going to be great TV. So, yeah. I think I would love, in other words, I would like to continue to force my co-hosts to do things against their will for the sake of television.
It seems like it makes good TV, I mean, generally speaking.
And then we get ideas from our audience, right? And that's what keeps us fresh too, because they're watching, and we continuously get feedback, and we incorporate that into the show as well. So it is really, it's a beautiful work in progress, and it is very much us gleaning so much from our audience, the people that encourage us along this kind of path, this beautiful path.
Speaking of the audience, we would like to travel.
Yes.
Yeah, we'd love to come
really?
see you.
Take it on the road.
Absolutely.
So
How many
maybe that
times
could-
have people said that to us, though?
Yeah.
Right?
Send us
Come
the
see
money
us.
to come see you.
Social bus, imagine it, just like popping into town.
Right across the country.
Social bus.
Social bus.
Brought to you by fill in the blank.
That is a great idea, though.
People
because,
tell us
yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Will you come to, I don't know, Calgary?
Edward Island.
Will you
We,
come
and
to
let
Halifax?
us explain.
Yes.
We want to. It's just that our show, it's a huge production.
Right.
Like the four of us are not enough. As much as we have egos, and we'd like to convince you that we could do it by ourselves. There's a huge team of people who need to come and support us, and so all of that is an undertaking.
Right.
So definitely, we'd love to go on the road, but we need the resources, and so
I'm just putting that out there.
Yes.
Sponsors.
Yeah. Hi. As our publicist says, shut up.
I know.
But
It's like,
you know what?
Ixnay.
If you don't ask, you're not gonna get.
That's very true.
Yes.
So, in terms of the discussions, I mean, you guys obviously disagree, but I think what I love is the fact that you actually find a way to have a conversation where many people today don't understand that you can disagree and still have a conversation. How much of that is, does that just happen as you talk, or did you guys consciously think about that as you discuss topics?
Something that was happening was more of a production thing in the early days was we were often told, don't talk on top of each other. First of all, it's bad
Right.
television.
Right.
Right? If you're talking and I'm talking and you're talking and we're talking on top of each other. But it actually goes far deeper than that, and that is the idea that if someone has the floor and they've got an idea or a perspective or a point of view, you have to listen to it.
Right.
You don't have to agree with it. You're going to listen to it. And then the debate, that is where fundamentally conversation begins and ends. It's probably more using these, a little less using this, even though we are a talk show. And I think it has spun out into what you see now, which is, I think, a model of what debate looks like.
Right.
Not only can you disagree and still move on with your day, you can disagree and still actually like each other. Two, the ideologies are not so deep and personal that your friendships are on the line. I think friendships are ending, relationships are ending based on political alliances in the world today. I mean, I think our show provides a model that you are able still to have your perspective, retain that, and someone else hears it, doesn't have to agree, and yet respects you still.
That's fantastic. Well, otherwise, what happens when the cameras stop rolling? Do you guys hang out afterwards?
Of course
Do you?
we hang out.
I'm sure though
When
at
we
the end
get
of the day you might want some time apart, but what do you guys do when you're hanging
Eat.
out?
And should we
Bubbly.
say? Yeah.
It's
Prosecco's a
usually the
thing.
bubbly first.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Sparkling Moscato's a thing.
I think the thing is that we really, I don't know if it came out naturally or just because we've developed such a bond together that yes, even when we completely disagree on a topic, or even if we rib each other, which has happened too, where we're like live on the air kind of poking. It doesn't it doesn't get under our skin. I would say that it's like, yeah, and that's taught me a lot too about like, these women have helped me get a thicker skin, because let's face it, we live in the world of social media, we're called The Social, we have people who write to us and say like, sometimes some terrible things, and Lainey loves this, but I didn't love this to begin with, but now I actually kind of am just like, okay, well, whatever. Like, I just move on, and I think that to Mel's point, it's like we do need to have a little bit more of like, okay, you don't agree with me? Whatever, I don't care. It's good. You do you, I'll do me. That's what makes life interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fantastic. And I'm sure it's good to have the opportunity then afterwards to hang out like at TIFF, when there's even more bubbly rolling around, I guess.
To be honest, we actually prefer to spend time together, certainly at events, it's one thing, but we prefer to be sort of off the clock,
Right.
away from the phones together. Most people don't know when those happen because we're not online. We go offline. We go offline deep with one another because it's just
Right.
We're gonna look for our noses. We're like making them go look for our bunker,
right? But it is an opportunity for us to not be on any camera.
Right.
Usually we'll ask for the most secluded table at the restaurant, what have you, to just be able to totally take off all veneer and
But then that's kind of not exactly true, Mel, because Mel will inevitably then by the end of the night make us totally obvious, because she'll decide to do a huge photo op at the end,
directs.
and she'll direct it, and then
we
and
listen.
then
heat
everybody
score.
Yeah.
You turn us
Yeah,
into a heat
that's true.
score.
That's true. But I usually save it till the end of the night.
She
Or I
does,
don't post until after it's over.
Sure.
That's true.
For people to, go,
Right.
oh, what are they
That's
doing?
true. That's true. But the assumption too is that we
Timing.
spend so much time together, working together, and that we have time to chat. And everything. The fact of the matter is, we're all very, very busy, and the show is very, very busy, and we come together and do the show, and we don't really have a lot of quality time when we're at work. The assumption is that when we're at work, we're spending all this quality time, and we get to have a lot of time together. We don't really.
Right.
So those times when we are off the clock and off the grid, as Mel explains, are really special times for us, because that's when we can just sit back and catch up and find out how we're all doing.
That's awesome. Well, thank you all very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.